Hello ladies and gentlemen, Grim here and welcome to another video. Since the Rise of Krypton stories will come back and we don't get the Apocalypse stories back for now, it's about time we make a top 6 teams for Rise of Krypton stories. And keep in mind this top is going to be for Heroic and above, because normally you can just endlessly use the same team, it will be just 1 or 2 teams that you're going to use. But over here we're going to have 6 of them, and keep in mind that this is going to be just my personal opinion. When ranking those, I'll keep 2 things in mind. First of all will be damage, meaning obviously how much damage they do, and second of all will be versatility, meaning how versatile the team is in terms of hitting different bosses. Because there are some teams that they can literally hit every single boss, but there are some teams that really struggle with some specific bosses because it's not a linear fight, and that teams depends on it being a linear fight. At the same time, I will not keep in mind how hard a team is to get or how hard a team is to build, how hard something is to acquire, because this is simply not a list about top 5 budget teams for stories. We're talking about top 5 best of the best teams, and some characters are going to be accessible to everybody, but some characters are going to be very hard to get, and that's just the reality of it. And the last thing in the world is that I'm going to keep in mind Beta Club when making this. Like, Beta Club is going to be by far the best artifact in the game, love it or hate it. When something deals 15 million damage per second, you just can't ignore it. And there's the argument that a lot of people don't have Beta Club yet, and I understand that, but at the same time a lot of people don't have Tab yet. So if does that mean we should not take into consideration the old blades? No. So we'll keep in mind the Beta Club when making this video. But with all being said, all the footage that you'll see over here is going to be from Lord Drakon. Make sure to check his channel. He's definitely one of the best channels for the purpose of Injustice 2 mobile soul raid content out there. I think he's reached the furthest. Definitely great content. Check him out. Links in the description, links in the pinned comment. If you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's already get into this. Coming in at number 6, we're going to have the Justice League team. The Justice League team is going to pair up with Justice League Superman as the main damage dealer. We'll have Justice League Cyborg in it to boost the basic attack damage of Justice League Superman, and we'll have a Batman in there to boost the attack of Justice League Superman. Ideally it will be Silver Batman, because that way you can subtract some critical attack chance from the Justice League Superman build and put some attack instead, because the crit chance will be provided by the Silver Superman. This team is going to do well enough, and it's a versatile enough team. Like, this does not necessarily require a specific fight to do well, but to do the utmost perfect it requires a fight that's combo interruptible, because that's pretty much their playstyle. While in Apocalypse stories they didn't necessarily require a combo interruptible fight, since Superman was able to chain a swipe right with the firebox from the special tree. Now it's not really the case anymore, and they really need that combo interruptible fight to really do the optimal damage. And while their damage is very high, is not the best that we have seen, so that's why they're top 6, but they're definitely a solid team. With that being said, let's move on to the number 5. Coming in at number 5, we're going to have the Silver Banshee team. So Silver Banshee team is not going to be used ideally with Predator or Batman, like that's the least desirable method. The desirable methods are either Reverse Flash or Martian Manhunter. So if you've got like maxed out Rise of Krypton artifacts, then Martian Manhunter is the way to go to build that combo to deal huge amounts of damage with the Spear, Krypton, Silver Banshee. But if you don't and you're still using Gold Blaze, then Reverse Flash is going to do just as well for you. And of course, as a third character, we're going to have Power Girl for the power reduction. And this team is going to deal huge amounts of damage, higher damage usually than the Justice League team, but the downside of this team, same as with the Justice League team, they kind of need to have safer fights, because they kind of need to have a linear experience. Like, it doesn't matter that much once you got full Rise of Krypton artifacts, but most of you are going to be using all blades on Silver Banshee for the most part, and when there's fights that she will be in danger after tagging in and doing the special tree, she will not have a very good time. But nevertheless, it deals a pretty huge amount of damage. It deals damage kinda constantly, and it does well in most fights. So that's why they are at number 5. Now moving on to number 4. Coming in at number 4, we are going to have the League of Anarchy, the Heartbreaker Harlequin variant. So the Last of Joker League of Anarchy team doesn't seem to be performing well in those soul rates either. Maybe just against the first boss being Gorilla Grodd. But the League of Anarchy Harley is going to perform so far better and is going to do a great job. So the composition of this will be in Technical Poison Ivy, of course, as a support character, Heartbreaker Harlequin as a damage dealer, and that way Heartbreaker Harlequin will deal a lot of damage on her basic attacks. And then another character will be Arkham Knight Batman. So while this team is going to perform amazingly, stunning targets with Arkham Knight Batman and tagging in with Heartbreaker Harlequin for huge amounts of damage on basic attacks, the thing is, while they can perform pretty damn well against every single fight in the game, they ideally wanna hit bosses that are not stun resistant, because if they hit bosses that are not stun resistant, then they are going to reach their maximum potential. If the boss is not stun resistant, then you're going to deal somewhere between 40 and 60% of your total damage, depending on the success of the stuns, because as we know, Arkham Knight Batman has like a 50-50 success rate if the boss is resistant to stuns. So they deal huge amounts of damage. When the character is stunnable, they might be the second team in terms of damage, in terms of Rise of Krypton soul rates, but the problem is that they don't do that consistently every single fight, and that is what keeps them back all the way at number 4. And right now they don't necessarily have an artifact that benefits them that far more, because they don't benefit that much from the Beta Club. There are characters that take far better advantage of it, and they don't have the Firebox really helping them out on basics like they did in Apocalypse Oroids. Definitely a solid team, but not really in the top 3 for this Oroid at the very least, in my opinion. Next up, we're going to have at number 3 the King of Flan Sakoman team. This is most likely going to be the fan favorite team, but I'm just going to put it at number 3 because the things on number 2 and number 1 are just going to be so far better in my opinion. But the Kim team is definitely going to be one of the best teams for the Rise of Krypton soul raids. It's either going to go Dr. Fate, Shazam, and King, or Dr. Fate, Ace, Green Arrow, and King for the Brainiac fight, or Dr. Fate and King for the Superman armor Batman, or that purple Batman in tier 5, you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, this team is going to perform well in every single fight in soul raids. A team that you will see constantly in terms of the 3 teams that we're going to talk about from now. Every team in the top 3 teams can be slapped in any fight in the soul raids, and it will perform well in every single fight. Of course, they perform worse in some fights, but when one performs worse, all of them perform worse. And the King team is going to not be the most reliable in terms of doing damage, because at higher tiers, when the bosses will have huge amounts of health, then King team in the first pick will definitely do the highest damage with the percentage health that King deals on the special tree. But when the boss health is not high, then the damage will decrease heavily compared to the other teams. So I think it kind of balances out, but overall the King team is going to be a reliable team that you can use in pretty much every single fight. And the only reason why they didn't make it higher on this list is that the other 2 teams that are above take so far better advantage of the Beta Club. But yeah, with that being said, let's move on to the next one. So, coming in at number 2, we're going to have the Black Manta team. This team will be composed of Black Manta and Brainiac, and after the Brainiac buffs, this team got so much better because Brainiac gives now insane buffs to Black Manta, making him a killing machine. And as a third character, you have 2 options. You're going to use Silver Green Lantern against fights that are not combo interruptible, that basically making them kind of combo interruptible in another way, but you know what I mean. And the other team is going to be Brainiac, Manta, and Justice League Flash to have that additional fast attack chance. This team is going to perform well everywhere, and while it's a team that relies on the basic attacks, it's going to perform well even on fights that are not combo interruptible, because as I have said, Silver Green Arrow makes every fight combo interruptible for this team, and they're going to take pretty good advantage for of the Beta Club, and that will make them deal damage all across the board. And they'll be reliable characters for a lot of fights where other teams struggle. For example, the fight against Justice League Aquaman, they're going to do well against the boss Superman, they're going to do well against the boss Batman. Overall, a versatile team that will never ever fail you, no matter which fight that you're fighting. They do struggle a bit with the fights that have hazards on the ground, but you got other teams to deal with that, and they can do decently there as well. Now, before getting to a number 1, let's put in there an honorable mention. So as a normal mention, we're going to have actually the Multiverse team, and this Multiverse team is actually going to be used even if you got all the teams and they're all max, because there's one fight in the game where one of those 6 teams is going to be taken out because they perform like crap, and that's going to be the fight against Boss Superman, because Boss Superman is going to have so many resistances and is going to act so against the Heartbreak Harley Quinn League of Anarchy team, to the point where in some situations you will get better results with the Multiverse team. So Multiverse team actually will do better in that specific fight, alone, because Boss Superman just screws so much with the League of Anarchy team. Other than that, League of Anarchy team is going to be by far the way to go over the Multiverse team, don't get me wrong. But a closer runner-up, a number 7, a good replacement if you don't have all the 6 teams, and something that you can use against Superman is definitely going to be the Multiverse team. And with that being said, let's move on to number 1. Coming in at number 1, we got the Batman Ninja team, and it's going to be composed of Batman Ninja Gorilla Grodd, Batman Ninja Catwoman, and Batman Ninja Robin. And do not act like you didn't see this coming. This team and the Beta Club have an unholy relationship. This combination over here can reach to dealing like 30 million damage a second in dot damage. You heard that right. 13 million damage, 14, 16, whatever's on the screen at this point, it will be on the screen further on. This team can hit everywhere, so it's a very versatile team, and this team takes huge advantage of the Beta Club artifact and is going to deal by far the highest amount of damage that we have ever seen in the history of Indestructible, and most likely we'll ever see for a long time. And keep in mind that even if it was not for the Beta Club, then this team would have definitely made it at the very least in top 3, so don't be too bad about it. But yeah, with all being said, this is pretty much the end of the top 6 teams for Soul Raids. Soul Raids are going to start soon after my video is published, if they haven't started yet. It depends on how lazy I am and how much it takes me to edit it, so good luck with that on my dudes. Make sure you check Lord Drakon, links in the description, links in the pinned comment, and with all that being said, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.